Hey everyone, Shaggy here and welcome to the first of our simulations looking about who would be the best manager to take over Manchester United full time. Now if you haven't seen it already, earlier on in this playlist we did a control video which was, of course, Jose Mourinho. If you want to see how Jose did, you can check out that video, but I'll give you a quick hint, it was very realistic. To real life, he did not last very long, so this is Solskjaer's chance to prove what he can do. Now these are his stats, they're not actually too bad. I mean, coaching-wise, he looks pretty decent. Of course, defending and fitness-wise and goalkeeping-wise is awful. But as a manager, he'll have other people to do that instead, I suppose. Judging players' abilities, only been a 9 is not fantastic. A potential 13. Tactical knowledge 13 does need a bit of work. But our mental attributes are fantastic. The adaptability, determination, level of discipline. His man management's pretty good. And his motivational skills are pretty good as well. So he's looking pretty good. I think what we're going to have to do is just go season by season, check the end of each year, and see basically how he's got on, who he's brought, who he's sold, and all that other good stuff. So without further ado, let's get straight to the end of season number 1. And here we are then at the end of season number 1. And as you can see, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still the manager with Mike Phelan as his assistant. In the league, they finished 4th, which is not terrible. Equal points with Spurs, who finished 3rd. Goal difference wasn't great, only 22, which is pretty poor compared to the top 2 teams. Lost 6 games, drew 11 and won 21 games. Lukaku was 3rd highest goal scorer in the league, which is quite good. But Liverpool finally got the championship they so desired, with Man City finishing 2nd and Spurs finishing 3rd. I'd settle for this year, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to happen. I can't see Man United taking over Arsenal and Chelsea, but I would definitely settle for it. Right, let's see what Solskjaer got up to then, transfer-wise. So, at the end of the first, or during the first season, of course, you got Diego Dalot and Fred. That's normal. That's the standard that everyone gets. We got Alan from Napoli, who I know is a very, very good holding defensive midfielder. He got 31 games this season. That's not bad at all. Wow, £33 million for John Joe Shelby. That might be the low... judging players' current ability in work. The John Joe Shelby's not a terrible player, don't get me wrong. He probably does have his use, but for me, he's not good enough for Man United, and that may be, like I said, his lower ability of judging players' current ability, which might have dealt with that one. Then next off, we've got Christopher Ajar. Does he play for Celtic now, does he? Or did Celtic... Wow, okay, I didn't realise he plays for Celtic. A player I brought in the previous years on this game. He's very, very good, actually. I don't know what his potential is in this year's game, but he does look like a pretty handy player. Only 21 years old. He is Norwegian, so I wonder whether he does have an inbuilt way of just buying players that are the same nationality of himself. I suppose. I've seen in real life recently. He's been linked with people like Joshua King, so that might be a possibility. I won't say no to this guy. 21-year-old Norwegian at that sort of ability looks pretty good. So he spent 173 million. If you include Fred and Dalot, who are already there. If not, then you're looking at about 113 million, which is still not bad on those 3 players. Sales-wise, lots of loans, 1 youngster, but Andres Pereira going out to Wolves for 4.6 million. That, for me, is a massive, massive signing for Wolves. That is one of the best signings Wolves could ever make. And look at that, his value is up to 15.25 already. Didn't get a massive season of football there for Wolves, but still, I think this guy is full of potential, and I'm hoping to see him a bit more in Solskjaer's reign. So if we look over at the players, he did play the standard... Oh, maybe not. He played a different formation by the looks of it. He's playing with 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs. So I've sort of looked at this formation myself, especially when defence is struggling. To have that back 3, I think could be very, very good for us at the moment until we get a better centre-back in. Ajar, an average rating of 7.32 in the centre-back position, is he actually played fantastically well all year. He could be an absolutely amazing player, this young lad. Lindelof in there as well, I think has pretty good potential. Luke Shaw, Valencia playing the wing-back roles, Matic playing that holding role, spot on. Pogba and Allen. The problem is with this formation is where you will lose the likes of Lingard, Martial did get 15 games, that's not terrible from the bench. Lukaku did play 41 games. Sanchez and Rashford, he did manage to rotate pretty well and to get everyone quite a few games. It looks like Jesse Lingard will be leaving, and Darmian is definitely leaving, and Ashley Young should be on his way as well. So an interesting first season, 4th in the league. Let's have a quick look at the cup competitions before I get so hastily into the next part. Right, so Champions League. Let's go Carabao Cup first. So Carabao Cup, 3rd round, they defeated Ipswich. 4th round, they defeated Southampton. Quarterfinals, they lost to Manchester City in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. Not great. You don't want to be losing to your big rivals, obviously, do you? Champions League group stages, they were drawn against Bayern Munich and won all 4 games apart from the 2 against Munich, which they lost, but still got them through. Into the first knockout round, they got Barcelona and lost on away goals. That's pretty tough, actually, 3-3. That's very, very tough. It's disappointing, but you can't begrudge them too much. FA Cup. Right, a 1-0 win away at West Ham in the 3rd round. 4th round, they got a 5-0 win at home to Preston. 5th round, they got a 2-0 win at home to Bolton. That match was a replay, actually, because it was a draw in the first leg. 6th round, they beat Blackburn 3-1 at home. Into the semi-finals, they beat Spurs in the semi-final. And into the finals, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer lost in the final to Chelsea. So that's disappointing. So, knocked out in the first knockout stages in the Champions League to Barcelona on away goals. And lost 1-0 to Chelsea in the FA Cup final. Finished 4th. It was a promising season based on recent history. I don't think this is a bad run at all for Solskjaer. It looks like he's going to get another season to see what he can do. So without further ado, let's get straight to the end of Season 2. Here we go then, end of Season 2, and as you can see, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still the manager, alongside, of course, Mr. Mike Phelan. Premiership, they finished 3rd. A pretty disappointing 19 points behind the winner City, though, and 9 points away from Liverpool. But it is still a step up from what they did last year, which is pretty good. Sorry, I got confused there by the table. Goals-wise, nothing major on here, apart from assists. We'll have a look at this in a second, but Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, which I'm a massive fan of that guy, getting 11 assists. But David De Gea, 21 clean sheets out of 38 games is incredibly impressive, actually, as well. So let's head over. Let's have a look at the all-important transfers then. So they spent another £226 million. That's massive. Massive. Okay, first of all, of course, the big guy. Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, I'm a massive, massive fan of this guy, and I really hope that Man United can get hold of him in real life. He is being touted around a lot of the big clubs at the moment, and I just really want to get a hold of this guy. Built like an absolute beast, 19 strength, and also decent acceleration and pace as well. He's got no weaknesses, has he? He's an absolutely stunning player, and you can tell by that average rating of 7.59 in 32 Premiership games. 10 goals, 11 assists. Absolute beast. Next up is Benjamin Pavard, a player who really burst onto the scene during the World Cup as a French player. Scored a cracking goal, I think, from the left back, and actually looks like a very, very good player. He's playing CDM or centre back, is he here by the looks of it? Again, another high rating, 36 Premiership games, a 7.37 rating is fantastic as well. Again, massively good stats. I mean, the only things he's weak at are the stuff that he's not going to need, like finishing, free kick taking, and corners. He's never going to use them as a centre-back. Wow. Next, another player who I'm a massive fan of, João Cancelo. Great right-back / right wing-back if he's kept the same formation. Didn't quite have the same impact rating-wise, but I'm still sure he'll have a good future at the club. He cost them 45 million. Now, this is a weird one. Alberto Moreno. Now, I'm not a fan of Alberto Moreno. I don't think he's very good, but in fairness, on a free transfer, it's not a terrible deal as a backup left-back. I said as a free transfer, not as a first choice, not as paying money for him, but as a free transfer, I don't think that's a terrible deal. I think that's quite shrewd. But also, that's not the only ex-Liverpool player that came in. Emre Can came in as well. I didn't realise he was so young, 26 years old. Of course, Liverpool lost him on a free transfer to Juventus, which is a massive deal. And then Manchester United Ole Gunnar Solskjaer picked him up in the summer. It's a pretty good deal, actually. £53 million he's worth. They paid 45 million for him. It's pretty good. Right, and the outs. Herrera out on loan for the season. Jesse Lingard went to Arsenal for 36 million, going up to 40. Wow. Darmian went to Lyon on a free. Diego Dallo went out on loan. Fellaini went to Brighton. Again, a couple of youngsters. McTominay went to Cardiff. Fosu-Mensah went to Watford on loan. Juan Mata went to Inter on loan. Angel Gomez to Watford on loan. Midtjylland got Chong on loan. Sergio Romero went to Brighton. So a lot more loans. But Jesse Lingard being the big player to leave that season. So looking back at the squad, again, he did stick with the three at the back formation, with Savic playing at the back in that game anyway. Chan playing left wing back. He really must have changed the game up a little for this one. It's an interesting team as well. Lukaku and Rashford up front. If we look at appearances, so Pavard got 57 games, the highest out of anyone apart from De Gea. Ajar got another 37 games. Looking for the other guys, so you've got Rashford and Lukaku. Sanchez got 27 games and Martial got 18 games. So it might be a bit tricky to keep these players happy again. Rojo is leaving at the end of the season, which is interesting. But that's not a bad team at all, to be honest. A young player on the bench here as well, Beachy. He's the one who's come through the academy. He looks pretty interesting, actually. I'll have to keep an eye on him in the next few years. Tomlinson as well. It looks like they had an easy end to the season, so he just threw a couple of youngsters in by the looks of it. Right, if we look at the schedule, then we'll have an idea. Oh, Shawcross's testimonial. One at Stoke. Champions League. They got Real Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, Standard Liège in their group. Very, very difficult group. But managed to come out on top after defeating Real Madrid 3-0 at home. Wow. I'm assuming they lost away at Real Madrid. Yes, they lost 1-0. And that's a pretty good run, though, to beat Real Madrid and get through. Into the first knockout round, then, they beat Lyon 4-1 on aggregate. Into the quarterfinals, they defeated AC Milan 3-1 on aggregate. Could this be the big one for Solskjaer? Semi-finals, they beat Juventus 2-1 on aggregate. And in the finals, they lost in the final of the Champions League to Real Madrid. Wow, that would have been a massive, massive win. That would have been for Solskjaer. But that probably helped him keep his job. Third in the league. Finals. Runners-up in the Champions League. Wow, okay. Carabao Cup. So they defeated Oxford 3-0 in the third round. Into the fourth round, they defeated West Brom 2-0. Into the quarterfinals, they lost 2-1 to Liverpool. So again, not able to pick up the victory in that competition. Into the FA Cup. 3-0 first round win against Fulham, that was. I can't see it on the screen at the moment, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. There it is, 3-0 against Fulham. Into the fourth round, it was a 2-1 win over Preston. Fifth round, they beat Aston Villa 1-0. Sixth round, beating Brighton 2-1 away from home. Semi-finals, they beat Man City. They got Liverpool in the finals, and they lost on penalties in the FA Cup final as well. Oh, Solskjaer, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So third in the league, runners-up in the Champions League, and runners-up in the FA Cup. He's getting so close to doing something special with this club. But every single time, he's just an inch too far away. But with that much money spent, and the money he's going to spend in this upcoming season as well, maybe next year he'll win something big. So without further ado, let's get straight to the end of season number 3. So as you can see at the end of season number 3, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in charge with Mike Phelan as his assistant. Has his stats changed at all? I feel like they have gone up. I think this has gone up by, I don't know, I might be wrong. I feel like these have gone up a bit. Of course, he is still quite a young manager, so they are going to rise as they go. Into the Premiership, they finished third once again, only 2 points behind Liverpool in second. And 40, is that 24? 24 points behind Man City at the top, which is awful. But then again, Man City were just awesome, weren't they, if you look at it. 33 wins out of 38 games. That's pretty disgusting when you look at it, actually. We had Marcus Rashford with the second highest amount of goals in the league. That's 20. And equals second on the player of the match as well. David De Gea was 16 clean sheets as well. So they look like they did pretty well. But first of all, of course, we're going to head over to the transfers, haven't we? This is my favourite bit. Right, an extra £133 million was spent. First up, they brought Luis Silva on a free transfer. Of course, he's just a youngster, but his stats look incredible, actually, don't they? Look really, really good. He went out on loan to Millwall for 41 games, but his stats look absolutely fantastic for an 18-year-old. Very impressed by that. Next up, they spent £35 million on David Calabria. Wing back again, looks like they're still struggling with that right wing back role. Of course, they brought in Cancelo last year, who didn't really make the position his own, so bringing in Calabria to really challenge Cancelo, I believe, by the looks of it. And he looks like a decent player, only 24 years old, so can improve into that space. Luis Felipe, 44.5 million from Lazio, a good centre-back actually. Some decent stats, 15 plus in the holy trinity of defence, of heading, marking and tackling. Some great mental and physical attributes as well. 26 games, 6.87 rated. Not fantastic, but I'm sure we'll do okay. Next up was Rolando Mandragora. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these correctly. 26.5 million for the centre mid / DM Italian player. 31 appearances, 3 goals. Did do pretty well actually, an average rating of 7.14 across his 19 games with 12 sub-appearances that he did play. Looks like a handy player actually. And finally, I didn't realise, Rafael Guerreiro, £52 million. Great left wing back, really good in this position actually. Didn't have the best of ratings, 6.95. I like to have my players above a 7 to be honest with you, but that's not terrible. So some pretty interesting ins again, 133 million. Only £7 million went out though, and that was all for Marcos Rojo, who went to Sampdoria. The rest all out on loan. Some big loans. Antonio Valencia went out on loan to Lyon. Ander Herrera again to AC Milan on loan. Diego Dallo to Newcastle on loan. Luis Silva, of course, played and they just brought. Juan Mata went on to Inter again on loan for a season. McTominay went to Hamburger. Fosu Mensah to Sampdoria, and Fred went out on loan to Torino, which is interesting. I like Fred. I want to see him play a bit more often, not be sent away on loan. So let's check out the squad again. Looks like he's kept with the same formation of the 3 at the back, which he did. Right, so let's have a look at appearance-wise then. John Jashovi didn't get a single game. Yes, he's finally got his mind in check now then. So Emre Can got a lot of games, 38 games. Luis Felipe, the new centre-back, got 39 games. Cancelo played 40 games this season, which is pretty good. What was his average rating then? Still below 7, which is not great to be honest with you. Milinkovic-Savic got 48 games. He's such a good player. I really do like him. Mandragora got 28 games. Phil Jones got 24 games. Wow. Martial only got 18 games, started 23 from the bench. I can't imagine he's too happy with that, to be honest with you. If we go down towards the bottom, yeah, so we got John Jashovi, no games. Chong got 5 games. Matic got 5. Allen only got 10. Alexis Sanchez got 10 games and 23 sub-appearances. So still not great for him. Right. Champions League. So they drew against Monaco, Barcelona and Krasnodar, and they managed to go through with just 1 loss. And Barcelona got knocked out into the Europa League. That is massive, that is. That's absolutely huge. Right, so from there they went into the first knockout stage and they defeated CSKA Moscow, or CSK Moscow, 3-1 on aggregates. Into the quarterfinals where they defeated Monaco 3-1 on aggregates. Into the semi-finals where they defeated Real Madrid, the team they lost in the semi-finals to last year, and that sets up a Manchester United versus Manchester City Champions League final. They lost again. For the 2nd consecutive season, Manchester United lose in the Champions League final, this time to English opposition in Manchester City. Bugger. Right. What else happened? Carabao Cup. Right, so 6-0 win over Fleetwood. That's good, I like that. 4th round. They lost 3-1 at home to Newcastle. Ollie. You've got to win something, my man. FA Cup. This is your big one, right. 3-0 winners against Sheffield United. 4th round. 2-1 winners against Rotherham. 5th round. 1-0 winners against Bournemouth. 6th round. They lost 2-1 at home to Swansea, who were a championship opponent. That is pretty poor, actually. I think he'll be disappointed with this season. 3rd in the league, Champions League runners-up once again, and didn't do very well in either the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. So, let's get to the end of season number 4 and see if he can finally win the elusive trophy. Just any trophy will do. And here we go in the end of Season 4, and he has still kept his job. Of course, alongside Mike Phelan, and there's one massive reason why they've won the Premiership after 4 years of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Man United finally win the Premiership by 1 point over Manchester City. Arsenal getting 3rd, Liverpool getting 4th, Spurs getting 5th, and Chelsea getting 7th. Bournemouth gets 6th place, which is quite big. Looking down here, we have got a couple of new Man United players by the looks of it. Lautaro Martinez looks like a new player, and he went straight in with the 3rd highest average rating and the 3rd highest goals. Rashford in at 2nd with the 2nd highest goals in the league. David De Gea once again with the most clean sheets by a clear 6 over Man City, which is massive. But there we go, Man United winners of the Premiership. First of all, then let's look at these transfers because they look very interesting. £224 million spent. £179 million received. Massive. Right, first of all then, Lautaro Martinez, the young Argentinian striker. If you play a lot of FIFA, you'll know a lot about this guy because he's pretty good on FIFA. He came in for £84 million, scored 18 goals in 28 games, has got 4 assists, an average rating of 7.59. I'm going to put it to you that this is the main reason why Man United won the Premiership. Next up then, Nabil Bentaleb. I think used to play for Spurs, £45 million, yet played for Spurs for about 5 years before going to Schalke for 5 years. Algerian centre mid, looks pretty decent stat-wise, don't know if he's amazing. Looking at his ratings, he didn't have a great season, didn't even play that many games either really, so maybe he was just a bit of a backup, but it's a very expensive backup at £45 million. A really expensive Englishman, £65 million for Lewis Cook. English players always seem to be a hell of a lot more expensive than they should be, but then again, look at those ratings. He did fantastically well, 37 games in the league, 7.21 average rating, 6 assists. I think this guy looks like he is an absolute crack in time this season. And finally, a great centre-back, Leonardo Bonucci, but it's a hell of a lot of money to spend on a player that is 35 years old, at 46 million. But then again, if you win the league because of his great defensive work and you get a couple of years out of him, then it could end up being a bit of a bargain, I suppose, if you look at it that way. Tackling, marking, heading, all above the 15 mark, which is fantastic. Right, on the sales though, Milinkovic-Savic went out to PSG. They did make a profit on him of, was that 15 million? So that's a pretty... It's disappointing for me because I'm a massive fan of Milinkovic-Savic. I really am, and he had 2 fantastic seasons. But he did leave. Whether that was down to his own decisions, I've got no idea. But Tuanzebe went to West Brom. Matic went to Burnley. Herrera went to Valencia. Eric Bailly went to PSG for 46 million. Moreno, who came on a free transfer last season, went to Celtic for 18 million, which is a great bit of business if you look at it that way. And the rest were all just loans. So a massive turnaround in squad this season, but it was effective in winning them the Premiership. Right, sticking with the same formation. Yep, 3 centre-backs in the formation. Dallow's actually played now with Guerrero. That's actually not a bad team. There's Bonucci, Pavard, Luis Felipe, De Gea in goal. Cook playing the CDM role with Guerrero and Dallow in the wing-backs. Pogba and Mandragora, who probably wasn't the first choice in that position. Lukaku and Rashford. So look at this then. Cancelo got 25 games at the right wing-back role. Dallow got 26, so they look like they very much shared that role. Emre Can with 23 games. Ajar got 19 games. Luke Shaw only got 16. Phil Jones with 11 still somehow. Bentley got 10. Marshall getting less now. And it looks like he might end up leaving. Phil Jones is on the transfer list, as is Juan Mata. Alexis Sanchez on the transfer list as well. So it won't surprise me if more strikers come in next season, because if they're going to lose potentially Martial and Sanchez, they might need to replace them. Fred as well, looking like he's going to be leaving. So again, this is just the start of a massive clear out, and it looks like it's going to continue into next season. But so far, it has been profitable. Now into the Champions League. Once again, they drew Real Madrid, and once again, they topped the group. 3 wins, 3 draws, no losses. It's pretty good. They got Real Madrid, Shakhtar, and Borussia Mönchengladbach into the first knockout stage. they were victorious, beating Juventus 2-1 on aggregates. Into the quarterfinals, they lost 2-1 to Liverpool, so not a great time in the Champions League this year. After 2 back-to-back Champions League finals, they're knocked out in the last 16. Into the schedule once again, then we'll have a look at the Carabao Cup, where they lost 3-1 to Leicester in the opening round. So a very, very short run this year in the Carabao Cup. Into the FA Cup though. 2-0 winners away at Sheffield United in the 3rd round. 4th round, they beat Sunderland 3-0 away from home. 5th round, they lost 2-1 at home to Chelsea. So it wasn't quite as strong in the Cups. However, he did win the league. And I think winning the league is the main thing. Maybe he threw the Cups to make sure that he got where he wanted to be in the league. And you know what? He's done fantastically well to win the Premiership. I mean, Man City looked like they've been run away from it the last couple of years, but he's done so well. But can he continue this into next season? That's going to be the difficult thing now. Let's get into the end of season number 5 and see just how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done. And here we go in the end of season number 5. We have still got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in charge. He comes 2nd in the Premiership. Again though, 17 points away from Man City, so they've really dropped further behind this year. Wow, I've just seen something that has really hit me. Wow, Kylian Mbappe has joined Manchester City. That is a massive deal for them. Let's see how much it cost them. I mean, look at those stats to start off with. They paid £165 million for Mbappe, who scored 19 goals in his first season, which is pretty impressive. However, Lautaro Martinez scored the most goals. He scored 21 goals in 23 games. Wow. 7.87 average rate was fantastic. The 2nd in the league is a bit more disappointing. I said disappointing. It's not bad, is it really? Equal points though with Spurs. Beat them by 3 goals in the goal difference. Liverpool came 4th. Arsenal and Chelsea in 5th and 6th. Bournemouth continue their good run in Europe. Let's see how Bournemouth team's looking at the moment. Jefferson Lerman's on his way out. They got Kamil Glick, which is quite good. They got Kabak, who, if you've been watching my FIFA series, you'll know is one of the players we buy a lot on that. He's pretty impressive. Vieto. It's not really an amazing team when you look at it, is it really? But they're doing pretty well. Who's the most expensive player then? Emre Can on loan. Okay. Well, that's explained that one. And Vieto, of course, is pretty good as well. Right, anyway, let's not get off of track. Let's not get off track. Right, first of all, transfers. Let's see what they did this year. Another £169 million for players in. A double transfer from Chelsea is interesting. And £86 million for players out. First of all, again, if you play FIFA, you'll know this name. Milan Skriniar, one of the highest potential players on this year's FIFA. Absolutely fantastic centre-back. 16 heading, 17 marking, 16 tackling. Looks pretty damn effective in that position, doesn't he? And with an average rating of 7.03 out of 32 games for a centre-back, is actually very, very impressive. They cost £65 million. Then into Rodri, who is a defensive midfielder, so really stripped away Chelsea's core spine. 12 assists and 1 goal from 29 games. An average rating of 7.08 is not bad at all as well. He cost £59 million. Next up was Santiago Ascacibal. Don't know if I pronounced that correct or not. I don't think I have. Argentinian, again, defensive midfielder. We brought him from Barcelona, but Barcelona originally got him from Stuttgart. I don't know if that was before the game started or after, to be honest, but pretty interesting. Didn't play that many games, only 12. Interesting. And then a player from Brazil, I believe that is, Celio Carlos, a young right back from Set. I don't know what Set is. No idea. No, sorry. Is it Botafogo or something like that? I don't know. It's they haven't got the licenses, have they? So he did play 1 Premiership game and 3 sub appearances, which is not bad for a player who's only recently been generated. I dare say we might see him go out on loan in the next couple of years and just try and build himself up a bit. But that's an interesting move for the future. Right, on the way out then, John Joe Shelby went to West Ham for 12.5. Fred went to Hamburger for 13. I missed these. Dean Henderson went to Newcastle for 3.2. David Calabria went to Juventus for 35.5. Fosu Mensah went to Sevilla for 14.5. Alexis Sanchez to Lazio for 14.25. Leo Connor Must be a youngster. To Aston Villa for 275k, and the rest were all loans. Cancelo went out on loan. Wow. Okay, how's Chong looking now? Wow. Tahith Chong's actually looking pretty good. Wouldn't surprise if he gets a bit more action next year then. So that's transfer-wise. Into the actual team itself. Again, we're still sticking with the same formation. Lindelof is listed. Bentaleb is listed. Phil Jones is still there. I thought he was going to leave last season, to be honest with you. Is that Lukaku listed as well? Lukaku's listed as well. Very interesting. Right, if we have a look then at the selection. Pogba got 10 goals, 10 assists in 54 games. Rashford got 30 goals from 53 games. Wow. That was a really weird way of saying it, wasn't it? Skriniar played 47. Let's go down to the other side then. Pereira got 1 game. That's the new right back. Matt Cooper must be a youngster as well through the academy. Wow. Matt Cooper's looking pretty good for the Man United academy. Very good young player. Lukaku only played 4 games, 12 from the bench. Bentaleb, but yeah, not a lot of games now. Luke Shaw only got 11. Lindelof only got 14. So you can see why these players do want to leave. But on the top end here, let's have a look at the goals then. So Rashford with 30. Martinez is wanted by Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. He scored 29 goals in 35 games. Martial 12 goals. Thing is, a lot of the goals came from these first 2 names. The majority of the goals came from these first names. A lot of goals coming from the rest of the pitch, which is a little bit worrying. Matt Cooper got 6 goals. Wow. From substitute appearances, I would imagine. That's pretty impressive. Right, so we look at the schedule then into the Champions League. Again, they topped the group. They had Juventus, Porto and Fenerbahce. 1-5 and drew just 1. Let's see how they got on in the Champions League. The first knockout stage, they defeated Sporting 3-1 on aggregates. That was the wrong around. I'm getting all lost now. Here we go. Quarterfinals, they defeated Bayern Munich 4-0 on aggregate. That was pretty strong. Semis, they lost 2-1 again to Liverpool. And then Man City once again won the Champions League, this time beating Liverpool in the final. Can't quite get that Champions League, can he? Right. So, third round of the Carabao Cup, defeating Arsenal 2-2 away on penalties. That's pretty interesting. Into the 4th round, they lost 4-0 to Liverpool again. Liverpool, the bane of Man United's life this season, aren't they, by the looks of it? And then into the FA Cup. 4-0 winners there. If I can't see the game, where is it? It's around there somewhere. 4-0 winners against Portsmouth in the 3rd round. 4th round, they beat Brighton 2-0 away from home. 5th round, they lost 2-2 to Arsenal, this time on penalties. So, disappointing. Well, not I say disappointing. They come 2nd in the Premiership, which is not terrible. I mean, behind that Man City team that's getting 100 points a season, it's just crazy, Man City, how strong they are, to be honest with you. And hopefully, if you look at this side here, look, they've dominated in the last 2, 4, 6 years. Man City have won it 4 times, and they've been winning the Champions League as well. So Man City have really dominating this game at this point in time. The amount of money they have to spend and the manager they have in charge is doing absolutely fantastically well. So that's the end of Season 5. Let's head up to the end of Season 6 and see if someone can peg Man City back a little bit. And here we go then. End of Season 6. Unfortunately, it did spell the end of the road for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Carlo Ancelotti takes charge with Neil Wood as his assistant manager. What was the reason behind this? Well, I can see a 5th place in the Premiership is not great, is it? Dropping out of the Champions League spot, 73 points. It's about 10 points less than they had last season. That wasn't great, was it really? Man City again winning by an absolute dominant margin. Liverpool 20 points behind. Hector Parra, whoever the hell he is, Colombian 21-year-old player, got the most goals in the Premiership this season. That's a massive, massive signing that is for Newcastle. Rashford got 20 goals, which is still not terrible. But let's have a look into the transfers then. Right, transfer history. So I'm just going to write my notes as well. There we go. So they spent over 251 million and brought in 189 million. So again, another massive clear out. And I can see straight away one of the problems. But first of all, let's go through the ins. Ruben Neves from Barcelona. Okay. So Barcelona brought him from Wolves back in 2019-2020 for 55 million. And Man United brought him for 77 million this season. They did have the best of ratings. 6.96 ratings, not fantastic. 77 million, a massive outlay. Next up then, Arthur. We know about Arthur, he's a cracking young player that Barcelona brought in real life. Now, is he good enough for this though? He only played 11 games, 21 games altogether if you include the substitute appearances, 6 assists, 1 player of the match, and 7.07 rating. Not great, to be honest with you still. Only cost 42 million. Malang Sarr. I know him from FIFA a couple of years ago. Great centre-back he was then. Is he still good now? 16 games, 1 goal, 6.84 rating is not great. 23 games, 1 goal, not great still. It's a disappointing one. They brought Dermus Dogan from Galatasaray, who is a generated player who looks pretty good actually. He's got some good stats on him. 14 tackling, 16 marking, 15 heading. Pretty good for a centre-back. Didn't get many games. I dare say he might be one for the future. And then finally, Moussa Sila. Again, another player from FIFA we brought a few times before. Young French striker. Decent enough stats. Again, only got 5 games. So the 59 million he cost for 5 games. That's pretty bad, isn't it, really? The big problem I can see is this. Lautaro Martinez went to Barcelona for 100 million. That is a big disappointment for me because I think he's been the massive one missing. We said at the end of last season that all of Man United's goals came from either Rashford or Martinez. They've sold Martinez and it hasn't gone well for them. I mean, they brought in a striker here, but he played 5 games. It's just not good enough. That's the problem. Martial may have played more. We'll have to have a look in a moment, but still, whatever happened didn't work, did it really? Lindelof went to Stoke for 11 million. Aliou Traoré, 200k to Notts Forest. 30k, or 30 million, should I say, Santiago Azcárraga. No, Martial went out as well to Real Madrid for 54 million. So they really broke the team down and just did not replace the players. Rashford. Well, here we go. Let's go assists. Let's do appearances first. David De Gea, Pogba, both getting above 50. Skriniar, Dalot got a massive season this year and actually did pretty well as well, actually. Rashford, Pavard, Bonucci still did well. Dropping down towards the bottom, we've got a couple of the younger players. We've got this centre-back they brought a few years ago, Luis Felipe, who is still 27 years old, and I think he's a pretty decent player. Didn't play many games, only 5 games altogether. The young right-back they brought last season played a couple of games as well, but not enough. There's just not enough depth in this team now, is there? I mean, Rodri and Emre Can are both on the way out. Malang Sarr is listed as well. He's only just come in. Pavard is wanted, which means he'll probably end up leaving based on what's going on at the moment. Disappointing. Goals-wise, that's why I said the problem might occur. It was 27 goals for Rashford. Lukaku got more games this year, but only got 12 goals in 26 games. Pogba pulled out 11 goals. Skriniar got 2. And the young lad, Matt Cooper, we looked at last season, who came through the academy, is really coming into his own now, actually. He managed to pick up 14 goals in 27 games. That's pretty impressive, actually. Could have a really good young player here, England and Man United, but it's going to be too late for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So in the end, it all seemed to crash and burn, but it did so well towards the beginning. It took 4 seasons to finally hit the big leagues. He got to the Champions League final twice and failed. He comes second in the Premiership a few times. Finally did get 1 win. Is that enough, do I ask you though? In the 6 seasons that Solskjaer's been in charge in this simulation, he's lost in the Champions League final a couple of times, he's lost the FA Cup final a couple of times, he's finished first in the Premiership once, and finished second a couple of times and third most of the time. Is that enough? I feel like it was all going so well. If they'd not lost Martinez this season and they continued to build the squad, it would have got better and better, but instead it seemed to die off a little bit and they lost a lot of really good players, and now it's up to Ancelotti to start things from scratch. Right, so there we go. That is the end of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer simulation. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, please do hit a like and, of course, subscribe if you want to see some more. Next time we'll be back, we will look at the Maurizio Pochettino idea of being manager of Man United full-time and see how that will work. Again, he will start with Mike Phelan as his assistant just to make sure it's fair for everyone. And I hope to see you all there. I've been Shadow Gamer. Thanks for watching. See you all next time. Bye.